100 years ago, spatial rifts appeared and countless dimensional monsters invaded Earth. However, dimensional energy helped humanity awaken talents and led mankind into the era of talents. Our protagonist, Tian, wakes up with a weak tier talent. He worries now about how he can protect his sister. His sister Yeyu appears and asks about his talent. The protagonist assures her that he'll be a powerful martial warrior. She jumps for joy and invites him for a meal. Just then, the protagonist sees his sister's status screen and his own later. His sister grabs his hand and sees that he can copy his sister's talent. He doesn't want to test his copying talent on his sister. He later goes out and scans the area. Copying a mid-tier talent is difficult, so he decides to apply to the Linhai Academy. Days later, the protagonist attends the 5th Academy, but he realizes that it's not easy with his low talent. After class, he sees a student who has mid-tier cultivation talent. He takes the chance to shake hands and copies the cultivation talent. That night, he fuses the talent, and he experiences its painful after effects. After some time, he obtains the talent and discovers that there is a copying cooldown. He didn't worry and started cultivating, resulting in an air vortex appearing. He gets surprised, and now he knows that he can get stronger. A month later, the protagonist walks back home and encounters a monster on the streets. People panic and run away. The protagonist saves a kid from the monster attack. Just then, a hunter named Galewolf arrives and confronts the monster. Galewolf struggles to fight the monster, but his teammate arrived to support him. The monster runs, but they manage to trap and kill it. Just when they thought it had already died, it used Bloodburst. It tries to run away, but a sniper takes it down with an arrow. The protagonist then sees the monster's talents. Just then, the monster moves again, and Galewolf tells the protagonist to run. Tian takes this as an opportunity and punches the monster, copying its talents in the process. He continues punching the monster until Galewolf stops him. Galewolf orders everyone to clean up and hopes to recruit Tian one day. The protagonist goes home and cleans up. He sees his sister sleeping and covers her with a blanket while swearing to protect her. He goes to his room and fuses the talents he has. He experiences intense pain again, like his bones are breaking. He checks if the copying failed, and he faints. He wakes up and discovers that the talent copying was successful. He goes to the forest nearby the academy and tests his new talents. He then rests to cultivate, and his friend Zhang Bao tells him that monster blood can help you get stronger. Zhang Bao tells him that there's an upcoming exam with a monster's blood as the prize. The exam will take place in a wide zone, and Zhang Bao invites Tian to his team, but he declines. A month later, Tian tries to sign up for the exam, and the headmaster throws him a life agreement contract. He thinks Tian will regret signing up. Our cute Yeyu wakes up and sees a meal and a note from Tian. She hopes that he won't be in danger. Meanwhile, students from different academies arrive at the wild zone. Tian and Zhang Bao arrive. Mo Xiaobei looks down on Tian's 5th Academy. Xiaobei is a genius from the 1st Academy and a strong competitor. Just then, Li Yunxing draws his blade against Xiaobei. Yunxing is a genius swordsman from the 2nd Academy. Tian then cheers for him. Facilitators warn them, and Yunxing sheaths his sword and challenges Xiaobei inside the wild zone. Yunxing approaches Tian, and the protagonist gets interested in his sword talent. Tian asks for a handshake, and he copies the talent. The exam starts, and the academies enter in order. The protagonist runs in a secluded place and fusses with the sword talent he recently got. He goes over the pain with sheer willpower. Later, he tries out his sword talent, and the 5th Academy's turn comes. After entering, our protagonist immediately encounters a monster. He confronts the giant snake and instantly kills it. He extracts its eyes and plans to kill more monsters to get a higher rank. Just then, he hears someone scream for help. He sees Zhang Bao's group and saves him. The protagonist asks if he can take all the points. The monsters flock to him, but he unleashes his sword talent, cutting them all out of the way. Afterward, Zhang Bao and his team surrender, and he warns Tian about the pseudo-beast, worth 500 points. Tian smiles and asks for its direction. Our protagonist runs off, thinking he can top the exam. After some time, he discovers the first academy students on the ground. Something explodes nearby, and he runs in its direction. He sees the pseudo-beast being attacked by Mo Xiaobei and his lackeys. Xiaobei jumps and stabs its head. The monster throws him off, but the monster falls to the ground. Our protagonist was late, thinking that they won. Xiaobei exclaims that he'll be in first place now. Just then, the monster wakes up and uses Blood Burst. It flings them aside, and it swiftly runs off. Xiaobei orders them to give chase because it is now worth 1,000 points. Tian smiles at the opportunity and unleashes his speed talent. He arrives at a destroyed mall, where the monster is hiding. He enters and finds the monster drinking something. Tian brings out his sword and leaps forward. The monster notices his presence and attacks him. Tian brings out his bow and arrow and attacks the monster's eyes. He grabs his falling sword and leaps forward again. He buries his sword in the monster and rips its body apart, killing it afterward. The monster falls and he wonders what the monster was drinking. He brings out the bottle and collects some of the water. He then rips out the monster's eyeballs and collects its blood. He gets the bottle, collects the unknown water, and leaves. Afterward, Xiaobei and his group discover the dead pseudo-beast. He gets furious. Tian watches as Xiaobei's group leaves the mall. Xiaobei orders everyone to look for the unknown thief. Tian heard that and he ran off. He will focus on cultivating first, and he will find a hidden spot. He drinks the disgusting monster's blood and gulps it down for the sake of his sister. Yu sneezes and hopes Tian is doing fine. Meanwhile, Tian can now cultivate 4 times faster than before. He then continues to cultivate for the rest of the exam. 3 days later, the students submit their kill proofs to get points. Li Yunxing submits his bag and gets 195 points. Mo Xiaobei arrives and pours out his kill proofs. He gets 427 points, and Yunxing accuses him of stealing from others. Just when they thought the exam was over, Tian appeared. Tian submits his kill proof, and he gets 1,163 points, and ultimately places in first place. His schoolmates cheer, and Mo Xiaobei orders his lackey to check Tian's background. The 5th academy student were proud but are now worried that Tian offended someone from a powerful family. The top 3 students take a picture, and Xiaobei accuses Tian of stealing. Our protagonist returns the statement, and Yunxing backs Tian's statement. Xiaobei suggests fighting, and Tian accepts his request. Tian comes back at home, and Yu hugs him. He shows his loot, and Yu is amazed. Yu gets curious about the unknown water, and Tian checks the book of treasures. He finds out that the water is a Terra Core elixir that improves one's talent upon consumption. He then tells Yu to drink it. Yu thinks it might be a waste if she drinks it, and suggests selling it instead. Tian claims people will kill him for it. He picks up the bottle and forces it on Yu. Afterward, Yu's body glows, but Tian notices that nothing changed in Yu's stats. The cute sister becomes sleepy, and 1 hour later, Tian senses a powerful aura. Yu's cultivation talent becomes mid-tier, and Tian concludes that Yu will become a top-ranking warrior in the future. He then drinks the monster blood he won in the exam and eats peanuts to help recover the disgusting taste. His cultivation is now 8 times faster. The next day, he cultivates in the 5th Academy's woods, and Zhang Bao comes running to Tian. The fat friend tells him that Mo Xiaobei has secluded himself and is attempting to make a breakthrough. Tian sits back and thinks it will at least take a month for him to make a breakthrough. Zhang Bao worries about Tian's life, but our protagonist doesn't care. A month later, Mo Xiaobei comes out after reaching the warrior realm. His father arrives and congratulates him. Later, his lackey reports on Tian's background. He then gives out orders to kill Tian by hiring a shadow assassin. Seeing that a prodigy is emerging, they should nip them in the bud by killing them. Afterward, Tian walks back home on a rainy day and notices a presence and sees a status window. The assassin attacks him, but Tian blocks him. The assassin shows himself from the shadows. He claims to have come to kill Tian. Our protagonist realizes that Xiaobei sent the assassin. The assassin quickly attacks, but Tian easily blocks him. The assassin disappears using his shadow talent and attacks Tian from behind. Tian runs to the top of the building, which surprises the assassin. Tian attacks, but the assassin goes invisible again. Tian notices something and slashes the assassin. The assassin doesn't know that Tian can see his window status. He attacks Tian with a special attack, but the protagonist dodges. Tian then dashes and attacks the assassin from behind. The assassin reveals Mo Xiaobei sent him before falling and dying. Tian then copies the shadow talent. He later buries the assassin's body in the forest near the 5th Academy. He goes home to take a shower and checks the items he got from the assassin. A pair of primordial weapons, gold, and silver cards that are worth millions, and a Shadow Blade skill book. He plans to read and learn the skill book but realizes that Yeyu is not home yet. He goes out of the window and wishes Yeyu to be safe. He later arrives at Yeyu's school, and someone threatens him from behind. Tian dashes behind the person, but it turns out to be Yeyu. They go home together, and Xiaobei furiously wonders why Tian is alive. While walking home together with Yeyu, Tian notices that they are being followed, even after they have reached home. Days later, Yeyu attends school as usual, while Tian monitors her. He keeps seeing the same black car and notices it leaving. He then follows it to an abandoned construction site. Inside, Xiaobei beats up a debtor, and his lackeys arrive, reporting that they lost contact with the assassin. Xiaobei pointed his anger at the debtor and killed him. He asks about taking action on Yeyu, and Tian brings out his primordial weapon. Tian jumps and easily beheads Mo Xiaobei. Xiaobei's lackey asks why Tian got the assassin's shadow talent. The unresponsive Tian dashes forward and slashes him. He cleans his weapon and leaves a piece of paper with the shadow assassin's mark. He then leaves the area. An hour later, Xiaobei's father arrives and they discover the paper. Just then, Mo Shangqing, the most powerful elder in the Mo clan, arrives. He feels sad that the strongest of their family's youngest generation just died like that. Xiaobei's father asks Elder Mo for vengeance. He thinks it is one of the families who bears a grudge against them. Elder Mo holds the paper in the moonlight and discovers the Iron Fang symbol. Will Tian be able to avoid suspicion for killing Mo Xiaobei? If you want to know, comment down below if you want a second part recap. Like this video and subscribe to our channel to be notified. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.